Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Uh, Sam Willow, I got your letter. I would say that anyone that sent old KJ a letter, be looking. It's taking a little bit, but you will, I promise you, you're going to be receiving something in the mail. I hope you enjoy it. But we are here on a Thursday. I posted on the community wall something that's going on here in Tennessee. And no, we are not going to be covering it thoroughly and, through and through. It is happened in Tennessee. This Austin Drummond, who murdered 4 innocent people. And I put on the community wall his arraignment hearing and all of that. And I've been looking at the manhunt this week. By the way, old KJ's been having to shuck corn. And, some of the harvest is coming in on the garden. So I've been busy with that. And just, recuperating from whatever I've got to recuperate from. I'm sure you know what I mean by that. And, I thought, wait a minute. This Austin Drummond murders 4 people. Before they capture him, they arrest 3 people. A 23-year-old De'Ara Sanders, a 29-year-old Tanaka Brown, and 29-year-old Giovanni Thomas. And they charge them with accessory after the fact. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, if any of y'all been keeping tabs on the Donna Adelson case, there was this big rumor going around that, there was this hypothetical or plea deal thing out here that if Donna Adelson turned on her daughter, Wendy Adelson, that she could get out of jail with time served. And of course, the DA came out and said that's all a crock of shit. That never happened. It's my understanding that someone on a social media platform, I won't name names, had brought this rumor to the forefront and the news picked it up. I guess it was a way for everyone in the media to jiggle everybody to get ready for Donna Adelson's trial. It was a stupid move, really, because, she's got all the money, to do whatever she wants to do with her high-dollar attorneys. And this publicity leading up to her trial, it's not a good look. And it's just, to me, y'all, it's just freaking unethical, really. It is. I mean, who wants to get clicks and subscriptions and all of that stuff over a stupid ass rumor that doesn't exist, right? Even the defense, Donna's team, is even saying that's not true. So, it might have, itched a few ears and got people giddy, a little warm, fuzzy feeling there. That the state was really ultimately looking at Wendy Adelson. Of course, some of y'all and others that aren't part of this channel, because I read other comments and news articles and all this and that, feel like Wendy Adelson, was involved in this. So I thought, okay, this Austin Drummond, he had help after the fact. If he had help before the murders, they would have charged these 3 people. So I guess the question is it the state of Florida's position that Wendy Adelson was an accessory after the fact? Or was she an accomplice? I'm sure many of y'all know the difference between an accomplice and accessory after the fact. But in terms of this, these 3 people, which to me, they're cowards, to help this guy after he's murdered 4 innocent people. Who were they? Who were the ones that were murdered? They were Matthew Wilson, age 21, Adriana Williams, age 20, Courtney Rose, 38 years of age, and Braden Williams, age 15. They were family. And this Adriana Williams, who was 20, and this Matthew Wilson, who was only 21, was the parents of the child that was left in someone's yard after the murders. Now, some people say, well, at least they didn't kill the baby. That doesn't take away from the fact that this dude is a serial killer, okay? He killed that child's mother and father. And I thank God the child is doing fine and healthy according to the news conference. But getting back to this accomplice or after the fact, how about this? Try this on for size. Did any of us ever really get down to the nitty-gritty in terms of statute and codes in Idaho on who really should have been an accomplice or an accessory after the fact in the murder of Tylee, JJ, Tammy, Charles? So I said, yeah, well, I think I know. I think I know what the difference is, and I'm sure many of y'all do. Hello, the Bethy Boop. Bethy Boop says Drummond's girlfriend was the sister to deceased and worked at the jail he was at. Correct. She was a correctional officer. There was a media report came out of pictures of him with vodka and video games and all this other stuff. It really does look bad on Tennessee Corrections there. I hope now they'll do something about it. Sometimes it takes the stupidity of neglect or just outright doing the wrong thing in our institutions to get somebody's attention. Vicky Carpenter says, I believe that all of them made deals. No accomplices were charged in Idaho. They should have been. Exactly, Sam Willow. Exactly. Hello, Vicky Carpenter. Hello, Hope Grace. Yes, Hope Grace says it. This Austin Drummond also had the comforts of home while he was in prison. Sam Willow says that she feels like it's possible that Wendy was kept out of it. We don't know. And, you know, we've talked about it, y'all, in the past. And, you know, part of me really believes that she didn't know, that perhaps Donna and Charlie were the fixers of Wendy's life. You know, there's lots of evidence that they were always talking about, well, you know, let's set her up with this guy, or, you know, it was Donna that absolutely gave the okay for Wendy to date and marry Dan Markell, then turns around and has his ass killed, okay? It just seems like, you know, I look at the common sense of it. If Wendy was, say, an accessory after the fact, like she found out afterwards before the police arrested Charlie, okay, before Donna and Charlie and all that, I just don't believe she would have, because first of all, she was a trained attorney and she knew those emails between her and Donna were out there, which made her look bad. Also, I look at her interview after the murder of Dan Markell, and she just, y'all, it doesn't seem staged or anything like that. Of course, everyone looks through their own eyes, and maybe some think, oh, she looks like she's faking it here or there or whatever, and that's fine. Everybody has an opinion. Did Wendy know before the murder was going to take place? You know, I don't know, just as Sam Willow says, but after the fact, there was a call made by Wendy Adelson to Charlie Adelson that was on that day for 58 minutes. So, you know, you can, what were they talking about? What was going on? Sam Willow says there is still hope that Melanie P. will be charged in Arizona. Canyon Jam says, it is mind-boggling to me how many people allow themselves to be manipulated by these criminals, giving law enforcement and corrections a really bad name. How's that defunding going? Oops, too political? Right, I get it. But I got to thinking about it, and I thought, well, here's the way that old KJ can kind of figure it out. Because we all know that here in the United States, anyway, each state sets their own laws, their statutes, their codes. And I looked at Idaho, and I looked in Florida where Donna's at, and of course, this Austin Drummond ordeal, to really look at the difference between what an accomplice and an accessory is, not just in layman's terms, but through the laws. And it says in Tennessee, and the reason I'm bringing this up is stop and think, even though this is Tennessee, I looked at different ones and they all pretty much say the same thing, maybe a little bit different wording, and yes, words do matter in codes and laws and such, but ultimately it's around the same thing in terms of what is defined as an accessory after the fact. And we can apply this to Wendy Adelson. We can apply this to the past case of Chad and Lori Daybell. This is something that we talked about in terms of Idaho, where we were like, we know they were involved. We know they were involved. But nobody ever got charged in Idaho for any of that. And it's my contention that this De'Ara Sanders, Tanaka Brown, and Giovanni Thomas, who are being charged with accessory after the fact, that they're going to be a state's witness. They're going to get on the stand and they're going to tell everyone, because, y'all, they said today in this arraignment that they're going to seek the death penalty on Austin Drummond. And by God, he murdered 4 people. And so you have to really look at it. But in Tennessee, an accessory after the fact to murder, and this is according to the law, involves knowingly providing assistance to someone who has already committed murder with the intent to hinder their apprehension, trial, or punishment. And so I thought, okay, that's what these people are dealing with. But what about in Florida, which is around the same definition? Did she provide assistance to Charlie to knowing that Charlie had committed murder on Dan Markell? These are hypotheticals. This is just us talking. With the intent to hinder their apprehension, which Charlie never ran off and they had to have a manhunt on him. She wanted to help him not get charged so he would go to trial or have any punishment. So I really thought about everything that happened after Dan Markell was murdered. And the only thing I can really think of was that 58-minute call, along with her going back to the scene of the murder briefly. If any of y'all that don't know what I'm talking about, Wendy drove. She was supposed to get a bottle of bourbon, Bullet Bourbon, for a get-together. And instead of going to a nearby liquor store, she drove way out of the way and went over in the neighborhood of where Dan Markell had been murdered. And she told the police that she just wanted to go by there, just was thinking. It just really wasn't nothing to do with anything. So, and then of course, if you think about what was said after Charlie Adelson was convicted between Donna and Charlie as it relates to Wendy's behavior, Wendy distanced herself a great deal, okay? She did not want to talk. She told her mother on text message, I'm not talking about this case. If you have to talk to somebody, you can talk to my attorney. And that was a smart move. But then again, you got to stop. And you got to use a little common sense. If Wendy knew about this murder after the fact, would she have alienated Charlie and Donna like she did? Or would she have gotten up close to them? You see what I'm saying? To try to thwart anything. But then again, maybe that was her signal to Donna and Charlie, even if she did know after the fact and helped in some way to try to keep the heat off of her mother or Charlie, that this was her signal without saying it to Donna and Charlie, hey, y'all better just leave me out of this. Just leave me out of this. I know after the fact that, y'all know that I know after the fact. This is just me surmising. But I'm telling you without telling you, leave me be, right? This is very well possible. Marilyn Pastor says, oh boy, Wendy now in Colorado. So much for wanting to live in Miami. She was so complicit. See, there are many people that are they absolutely believe that Wendy was involved in this. Now, let's ask the question, and I hope that you will interact with me on this. If you think that Wendy's guilty of something, do you believe that she was an accessory after the fact, or that she was an accomplice? Excuse me. Put it in the comments. I want to see it. I love how deep your analysis dives these helpers. Think nothing of offing others, then fight like hell when theirs is going down. Leanne Forsberg thought that Wendy moved to Texas. Now tell me, do you think that she was an accomplice, or do you think that she knew after the fact? Like before police got involved. Remember her interview. She really outed Charlie in a lot of ways. MK says that seems like she planned the whole thing. Leanne Forsberg thinks that Wendy is an accomplice. Now, accessories after the fact can face criminal charges in Tennessee, and these three people will. Typically a felony offense, and potential penalties can include up to 15 years in prison. Florida, similar statute, similar code. Now here is kind of what we're talking about, accessory after the fact, okay? Because, again, I see nothing, and it didn't come out in Charlie Adelson's trial. In fact, the state used Wendy in their case in chief against Charlie. They're going to probably have Wendy. She's on the witness list. They're going to have her, along with her brother, is going to be, at Donna's trial here. I didn't see anything before any of this went down that Wendy could have been involved. This whole idea about the TV repairman going to Wendy's to give her an alibi, that's doable. The Bethy Boop says, if Wendy was not part of this, why keep the children from the Markells? Well, that's a good point, the Bethy Boop. It's what you do afterwards, how you behave afterwards. That's vindictive to me. I mean, the only reason that Wendy Adelson doesn't want the Markells to have a good, wonderful relationship with their grandchildren is because she doesn't want her children to know the truth about Charlie and Donna, and perhaps Wendy. Leanne Forsberg says the TV repairman was an alibi. Now, the accused must know, and we're trying to think about Wendy here. The accused must know that a crime in this case, which murder, has been committed. So before the police really start bearing down on this, after they found Dan Markell, now she knew it was a murder when she was told by police in her interview that he was shot dead. So, common sense, it's a homicide, it's a murder, so she knew it was a murder after the fact. Did she do anything before the interview with the police? During the interview with the police, can it be proven that she talked her shit in her interview? Could be construed a healthy inference that she was trying to keep Charlie out of jail, Donna out of jail. So they have to have knowledge of the murder after the fact, which that's a no-brainer. How about intent to hinder? The accused must provide assistance with the specific purpose of helping the murderer avoid capture, prosecution, or punishment, right? And I've done said that, but breaking it down, there was no let's go capture Charlie Adelson. They built their case. It took several years to build, and they were able to arrest him. But during all that time, did Wendy Adelson do anything that could be looked at, whether it's communications via text message? Was it anything like that? Was it wiretaps? I mean, they would have already arrested her, y'all. They would have already arrested Wendy Adelson. And really, her being a trained attorney, do you think she's going to do anything? Anything. She's already testified as a state's witness in Charlie Adelson's trial. So her own brother. And so it's knowledge, intent to hinder, and an action. The assistance can include providing a place to hide, helping them escape, or concealing evidence. Was there anything, and looking at those three things, she didn't help Charlie hide or Donna hide. Well, I'll tell you what. Did Wendy try to help her mother get ready to take off to her one-way ticket to Vietnam? I think it was Donna who was telling her friend on that hang-up phone call that she didn't know was still running, that Wendy wouldn't have anything to do with her. So if Wendy was trying to help her mother evade being arrested or anything like that, it doesn't bear that out, does it? Now, I'm not taking up for Wendy Adelson. I'm not at all. It's weird to me that her brother and her mother was involved in this, and I believe Harvey knew after the fact. Y'all, I absolutely believe that Harvey Adelson, Charlie Adelson, and Donna were all gathered at some picnic table back at some place. You know, they got it in the affidavit there where they couldn't get the wiretap on them. You tell me that Donna did not tell Harvey? I don't think so. In fact, we know it's a fact that Catherine McManawal said that Donna and Harvey went over to Charlie's with wet money to help pay for the hit. They've got text messages where Donna says, we're about an hour out, we're almost there. You think Harvey Adelson didn't know before the murder? And by God, Harvey Adelson sure as hell knew after the murder. I believe he knew before. I believe he knew during and after. I do. But just if you're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe he didn't know before the murder took place. He didn't know after the murder in terms of when it happened, but giving him the benefit of the doubt, she told him. They had, 4 to 5 years before police did the bump on them. You know what bump I'm talking about, where this guy walks up to Donna and hands her a piece of paper and says, give Tito some money in prison, like you helped Katie. And then Donna calls Charlie and all that. We've been through all that. Maybe we'll touch on it again before the trial. But Harvey absolutely, for sure, in my opinion, knew after the fact. Harvey Adelson committed accessory after the fact, in my opinion. An accessory after the fact does not participate in the crime itself, but helps someone involved after the crime has been committed. And they absolutely. And I'll go a step further to say before the hit on Dan Markell, Harvey Adelson and Donna Adelson gave Charlie wet money. So that is absolutely an accomplice. Hello, Rita Lou. Hope Grace said that Wendy had no contact with her mother or Charlie. Now, when was this? After his conviction and her arrest? because during the time leading up to the murder of Dan Markel, and even right that same day, within hours of Dan Markel being shot and killed in his own garage, Wendy is talking to Charlie for 50-something minutes, and she's also driving out of her way to go over there to the murder site, which doesn't look good for her. But then again, if it didn't look good for her and it was a clear inference that she knew something was going to happen or she knew after the fact, then why did the state there in Florida, Georgia Cappleman and others, why did they decide to use Wendy Adelson as a witness? It shielded her. Just as it shielded that crazy-ass Melanie Gibb, Zulema, David Warwick, others. As soon as the state cuts a deal with these damn demonic-ass people, it's hard to say, hey, you got to listen to Melanie Gibb. She's telling the truth. But at the same time, know what they were involved in. They got to say, hey, you got to find her credible. And in order for the state to let the jurors think that these people are credible, they're going to try to keep out the reality of what Melanie Gibb and Zulema and all them damn crazy-ass people were involved in and just how involved they were. There is no doubt that Melanie Gibb and Zulema, and perhaps Melanie Pulaski, but for sure Melanie Gibb and Zulema, were accessories after the fact. Melanie Gibb lied to police. She tried to hinder an arrest of that damn hooker. She should have been charged with that. She should have been charged with an accomplice because she knew it was going to happen, in my opinion. Sam Willow, exactly, that's what I thought. They didn't need these dang freaky-ass people, Melanie Gibb, Zulema, and them, to convict Chad Daybell and Lori Hooker Daybell. They didn't need them. They didn't need to give use immunity to Zulema. I don't know if they gave it to Melanie Gibb, but I do know they did for Zulema. There was a strong religious issue too. Donna wanted her grandchildren raised Christian. No, she didn't, Sam Willow. She didn't want those grandchildren raised as Christian. She did not. She wanted to use Christianity. You'll go back and read the letters she wrote between her emails between Wendy. Christianity, oh, send them to a Christian school to piss Dan Markel off, not because it was the right religion for her grandchildren. She even told Wendy, she said, well, just tell them that they're going to the school. They don't really have to go. You know, like going to a Christian school was some terrible thing. You know, they're Jewish. They just didn't want to be as Jewish as Dan Markel. Forgive Dan Markel for wanting to be pretty much Orthodox Jewish. He had a right to do it. There's nothing wrong with it. So, this, you know, it's going to shake up the whole situation, and it does get people talking again, which, by the way, ever since Donna Adelson has been arrested, people have been talking openly about whether Wendy Adelson was an accomplice or knew after the fact. Now they're just jiggling it a little bit before trial. Maybe Wendy has heard this. I mean, it's on national news now, right? I mean, you can look it up. Anytime OKJ needs to say, well, okay, where's this Donna Adelson case going? I'll put it in the search engine, see the latest of any of it going on. And that's the latest of this rumor of Wendy Adelson. You know, Donna would really You think Donna would really want to get out of jail and screw her daughter Wendy? No, because Donna believes that her money's going to get her out of this. That's what Donna thinks is going to happen. I don't believe for 1 second that they offered Donna this. I don't. When I first heard it, before it was confirmed by the DA and Donna Adelson's defense attorneys that that's just bullshit, when I heard it, I'm like, that's just stupid. That's not even real. But it just goes to show you, when it comes to these high-profile cases, you know, the media has a way of woo, let me get you. Let me get you clicking. Let me get you looking. I mean, heck, y'all, I'm guilty of it, right? Hi there, Donna. How are you? Sam Willow, it was my understanding was that a YouTube channel started. I'm not going to give names. Doesn't serve a purpose to do it. But you can look at the articles and say this YouTuber said this and blah, blah, blah. So you can look it up if you don't already know, right? But could you imagine Donna Adelson hearing this news? Even though she, in my opinion, she's like, that's stupid. Nobody has said anything to me. My attorneys are telling me that's a crock of shit. That's got to unsettle her, right? Maybe in the back of her mind, if Wendy is an accessory after the fact or an accomplice, that is a signal. That is a signal that Donna's probably in the back of her mind going, damn. It's like the dominoes. First my son, now me. They're putting Wendy's name out here. I'm surprised they ain't got Harvey Adelson yet. The dominoes are falling, folks. Hope Grace says, do you think Charlie thought his doctor's reputation and money also would get him not guilty? Well, Hope Grace, I think Charlie Adelson had really good representation. I think Dan Rashbaum is an incredible defense attorney. Best that money can buy. And if Donna could have kept him with no conflict there, she'd have kept Dan Rashbaum. But Judge Everett said, no. And that was the right thing to do, because that would have messed with Charlie's appeals issues, and it would have also shown up with Donna's. And Dan Rashbaum should have known better. And maybe he did. Maybe he thought Judge Everett would just let it go, But the bottom line is she's hired some more attorneys. Those attorneys are very reputable attorneys. One of them does have a little sketchy, shady past, but ultimately very good attorneys. And I think Charlie thought the money, and he was being told by Dan Rashbaum, he says it in his jail phone calls. These are not my opinions. These are Charlie Adelson's words. That, he had just he thought he was going home. He thought the day of the verdict, he gave away all his jail food to the other inmates. He thought his ass was going home. He says it in the jail calls. And Donna just was beside herself. Her and Harvey had to take Xanax after the guilty verdict. And I don't think it was just her taking Xanax because her son was going away for life in prison. I think she knew the shit was about to hit the fan on her as well. When Charlie Adelson says in his jail phone calls, I should have went with my gut, that could mean one or two things to OKJ. One, he should have never done this shit for Donna in the first place. Or number two, he should have went with his gut and ran through the few years before they arrested his ass. He should have left Dodge, went to another country. One or the other. The way that, in the context of him telling Donna that on the jail phone call, makes it clear as crystal, OKJ. Hope Grace says his testimony made no sense. No, it didn't. And Georgia Kappelman said it very eloquently when she said, you can have a story. You can stick to a plan. You can stick to what you say is the truth. But if it doesn't add up to other evidence that corroborates it, then you can't believe it. I mean, if it's opposite of what the factual evidence is there to corroborate what Charlie Adelson was saying, it really was a way for her to explain to the jury something that I enjoyed hearing, because the way she said it, Georgia Kappelman, it's like I finally understood. You know, OKJ learns things along the way. It's called justice through the understanding for OKJ. And it does. It absolutely. You can't get up here and give some bullshit story to try to account for the evidence that's already there when there was other evidence. See, he was doing a story when he was thinking about, say, the Dolce Vita restaurant wiretaps. He was trying to explain to the jury, no, I said this in that wiretap, but I really meant this. And what he was saying he meant in it didn't add up to something that was not part of the wiretap. You see what I'm saying? Sam Willow says, as a mother, and if I was a controlling monster, I would plead guilty. I don't understand Donna. Well, Sam Willow, I'll give you a good example of how to understand Donna Adelson. A few years into them thinking they got away with it, they were still being wiretapped through her home phones and this and that. They have one where she's considering, and they both, Charlie and Donna both know that they hired someone to murder Dan Markel. In my view, they might as well be the ones pulling the trigger, right? They murdered Dan Markel, right? And here she is talking to Charlie on a wiretap. You can find it on YouTube, about how she is looking at another condo and how it just tickles her that there's this beautiful, she's explaining what it looks like. It's got this waterfall little deal in the bathroom tub, and she's like, I know it's a little frivolous, but I just, and Charlie's like, you know what, Mom? You should just, whatever you want, you should do it. You only live once and stuff, knowing that they had on their, whatever conscience they had, the death of an innocent man. And here they are talking about, I want these material things, but I don't know. It doesn't seem sensible, but I just want to go for it. And Charlie's like, go for it, Mom. Get what you want to get. And at that time, they didn't think for a second that they had not gotten away. They felt like they had gotten away with it. And here, this is what they're going on with their life. And they're happy. And they're cheerful. And they're wanting to live life to the fullest, knowing they snuffed the life out of Dan Markel. Dan Markel was not going to be able to live life to the fullest anymore. And really, those children, Dan's children there, how full can their life be without their father? I guess Wendy's trying to erase the memory of him by changing their names. I'm sure Donna really approved of that. Hope Grace says, all for what? You can't fix stupid, senseless murderers. Sam Willis says, as a mother, and if I was I've done said that. Sorry about that, y'all. Lily says, can't wait to hear Donna's defense. Well, Donna's going to say she knew nothing. Donna's going to say that. But see, here's the ticker. Okay, Lily? Donna can say she knew nothing about it all she wants. But do y'all remember Charlie going on the stand in his own trial? Talking about his own mother, knowing about it after the fact? Is she going to sit there and say Charlie lied? Is she going to testify? I guarantee you she's not going to testify. Donna Adelson will not take the stand, and that's unfortunate. I truly believe Donna Adelson will never take the stand. But they're already trying to look at Charlie Adelson's trial. Her attorneys are looking at it and saying, okay, what can we do? Because we know how they're going to present it in some way. Well, they're trying to limit testimony from pivotal law enforcement officials. They're saying that these law enforcement officials, when they were discovering evidence and stuff like that, that they shouldn't be giving their opinions about what it meant, right? But you got to understand something. These are law enforcement officials, and they have to go on something, and they have to know what they think happened. It's in a court of law that the law enforcement official, for instance, would get up and say, well, I think the reason why Donna said this TV's going to cost $5,000 to Charlie, and whoever's been keeping up with the Donna Adelson stuff, the evidence, that was damning as hell. And in fact, there are jail phone calls. Well, Charlie told Donna after he was convicted, you should have never said the $5,000 for the TV, which was code talk. Don't y'all think we've dealt with the code talk with them damn nasty ass cult people over there in Idaho? Charlie and Donna was using code speak. It's okay for a law enforcement official to say, I took that as the money that needed to be given to this person, $5,000. Or how about when Donna says, when the bump happened, Donna called Charlie and he says, well, what's this about? Charlie says to her. And she says, I think it's about both of us. Is it wrong for a law enforcement officer to say, well, this as a law enforcement officer, it looks to me, with what she said, that it was both of them. So it's up to a jury to decide ultimately what that meant. What did it mean when Donna said, this one's going to cost us a $5,000 TV set? Which had nothing to do with the conversation. She just threw that out there. And really, I've listened to every single Charlie and Donna jail phone call. And I know the state there, down there in Florida, Georgia Kappelman and her team are going to play some really good ones in there. It's all right, Sam Willow. These people, they don't care about themselves. Because if they cared about themselves, they wouldn't want other people saying bad things about them, and they wouldn't want to say bad things about other people. So they don't care about themselves. And I feel sorry for people like that. I really do. Because ultimately, all they're doing is hurting themselves by attacking strangers and other people. Saying mean and nasty things to other people. They're only hurting themselves. And that's so sad, really, ultimately. Hi, Artie and AC. How are you? Oh, Rita Lou says, maybe play some jail calls we haven't even heard yet. Well, I'll tell you what, Rita Lou, that is a good possibility. That they'll place some things that we didn't know. Remember, the most recent investigation was whether Donna had tried to bribe someone for false testimony. And whether or not Donna was using her attorney's phone to call Harvey so that it wouldn't be recorded, and whether or not all that was being set up. The state wouldn't have moved forward with an investigation on that. But then again, no added charges yet. So I don't know. Yes, it's been a while since Artie and AC's been on here. Hope Grace says trolls will be blocked and reported. Exactly. And I want to thank Hope Grace and Canyon Jam and anyone else that's on here that's been doing modding. I appreciate it. I really hate to ask you to do it, but OKJ doesn't really have a choice. So, this fella here in Tennessee, who was arraigned today, he comes back on the 16th. And I'm going to be bringing him up on and off for some time now. Again, we're not going to thoroughly get into this, but I am going to use this case of Austin Drummond, not only to get justice through understanding, but for application to, move us forward with the Donna Adelson case. I want to absolutely just kind of set this up a little bit. When it comes to these three individuals that have been charged with accessory after the fact in Austin Drummond murdering these 4 innocent people here in Tennessee, they found these victims in a wooded area. And there has not been any indication that the murders happened, say, at an apartment or somewhere, and then the bodies brought out to the wooded area yet. But if he shot and killed these 4 people out in the woods, I guess the question is how could he, and perhaps he could by himself, bring 4 adults and that little baby out to these woods, march them out in the woods, maybe by gunpoint. What I'm saying is did any of these people, accessory after the fact, did any of them help pull the bodies out into the woods or anything like that? They haven't been charged with anything other than accessory after the fact. No accomplice has been tagged with any of them. And, a working theory is he was in a vehicle with all 4 adults along with the baby. Baby had them by gunpoint. They were scared for the baby. He probably took them out in the woods, shot them dead. We don't know why. Don't know if we ever will know what the state of Tennessee will use as motive, whether or not these 3 people that were arrested as accessory after the fact, whether they will testify what he might have told them, the reasoning behind murdering these 4 people. Whether or not the baby was actually taken by him to put in someone else's yard miles and miles away from where the bodies were. Or whether it was one of these people. One of these people taking the baby and putting it out in the front yard. We don't know yet. But we're going to. Hope Grace. They arraigned his ass this morning. I posted it on the community wall, the hearing there. The state of Tennessee is seeking the death penalty. He's a freaking serial killer. I hope he fries. It's awful. It's terrible. I hate it for these family members. I hate it for that little baby growing up without its mother and father. So this whole rumor that's been shot down about Wendy Adelson, that if Donna turns, I guess, state evidence against Wendy Adelson, they'll let her out of jail. That's a crock of shit. It was always a crock of shit. They were not going to do this. The DA, the defense team of Donna Adelson's already said that's a crock. And I guess if there was some truth to it, if there was some way to say, yes, maybe perhaps it did happen, and the defense says it didn't happen because they know this trial's coming up and they don't want the bad publicity, say, for instance, it did, then the state, what do they have on Wendy Adelson? What would the state of Florida have on Wendy Adelson if they've got to ask that damn woman, Donna Adelson, to turn on her and let Donna out of jail? If the state is saying Donna is pretty much kind of like the mastermind of all this and everything, and yet they're willing to let her out of jail to get Wendy, It shows you the desperate nature of things, doesn't it? Well, Hope Grace, I'll tell you what. 4 people, young people, even the 38-year-old, that was the grandmother of that little baby. That was the mother of the girl there. It's sad. And a 15-year-old boy murdered? Why kill all 4 of them? I mean, this Austin Drummond guy, they say he got the girl that had the baby. She had a sister, okay? That sister, her last name is Speed, she was the correctional officer. She's pregnant with Austin's baby. Now, there's a rumor going around that they split up. Was it that the family did not like him and he blamed it all on the family for him and this woman not being together anymore? Yes, they were nice people, Hope Grace. The whole community was just devastated, sad. RDNAC says, I'm so sad about those 2 little girls whose parents were killed in the woods by that guy while they were all hiking. Yes, I forgot his name, but he gets arrested as he's getting his hair cut. That was a random act of violence right there. And what's scary about it is this guy was a teacher and had been in classrooms full of with children. It's scary, y'all. It's so scary. It'd be so easy for KJ to say, you know what? Here in Tennessee, look, we got this guy that, well, what was it? One of the family members did a Facebook post about this Austin Drummond and said this: he was close to our family. We cared about him and thought he cared about us. He has literally been nothing short of amazing to us and our kids every time he's been around us up until this point. We never expected him to cause any harm to anyone, much less anyone in our family. We are heartbroken, we are confused, we are devastated, we are mortified, we are hurting, our kids are hurting. We want justice for my sister-in-law, niece, nephew, and niece's boyfriend. You just don't know anymore. And it'd be so easy for KJ to say, you know what? The hell with this world. I'm not going to try to be nice to anyone anymore. I'm going to stick close to Wayne. My own immediate family, my extended family, just always look over my shoulder. Look at this world as a dark, terrible place all the time because this shit happens every freaking day, all over the freaking world. It'd be so easy, wouldn't it? Sam Willow says there are monsters among us. RDNAC says ultimate betrayal. And how many times in the crime genre community, RDNAC, have we said those words? The ultimate betrayal. How much more of an ultimate betrayal can there be when the hooker murders her own children? And all of these crimes that we see online all the time, the trials, the men killing their wives, or the wives killing their husbands, or killing their kids, or killing strangers. Hi, Maria P. So, I believe it's August 16th is when they're going to have a preliminary hearing for Austin Drummond. I'm going to extract what I want to extract out of that, what I get out of it, apply it with Donna Adelson, continue moving forward to get a little justice through understanding. thank y'all all for being here today. Please pray for these families here in Tennessee. Maybe, it's going to take a really good amount of time to get to a death penalty case, y'all. They're seeking it. OKJ might absolutely go over there to close to Memphis, Tennessee, and maybe sit in on a few of those trial dates. Who knows? But to make a long story short, murderers are murderers, all right? Accomplices and accessories after the fact. How much more of scumbags do you need? No, they didn't actually commit the murders, but whether they knew before or they helped afterwards, they are low as low scum of the earth. They don't deserve any kind of sympathy from OKJ and deserve to be in prison. Because as soon as someone knows that something could take place, think about this Crystal Rogers, this guy that just now got all these years. He could have stopped it. How many of these people could have stopped murders from happening and they didn't? And not only did they not stop it by getting law enforcement involved or at least talking sense to the murderer who did it, but they helped them after the fact. It's disgusting. It's gross. And these people need their asses stomped. You know, this Austin Drummond has been in prison since he was 18 for armed robbery. He was in prison for 13 years. That's all he's ever known. He probably thinks that being on death row in Tennessee, now I'll really have the status. Now I'll really have the status. And in fact, think about it. Think about all these people that spend a lot of time in prison, then they get out, and they can't adjust to normal life. And the only thing they really know is prison, and so they don't give a shit when they do these crimes because they know they're going back. And that's something they do know. And they do know the community, the way that all works in prison settings. Well, I'll tell you what. Tennessee did not stop the execution of a man who had a pacemaker that a hospital wouldn't deactivate. They went ahead and they executed his ass. And if you want to look up the statistics on death penalty here in Tennessee, we don't F around. And this guy's going to dang see a needle. Sure as hell going to see it. Death penalty case. You kill 4 innocent people and your ass is going down. You kill at least 1 law enforcement officer, which is another biggie here in Tennessee. Your ass is you're going down. You're going to die. And as far as these prisons in Tennessee, letting him have vodka and video games and all that, shame on them. They better damn get their ass together. These mother fudgers, they don't deserve any freaking damn privileges. They need to be in freaking solitary confinement. And Donna Adelson better get used to it. Donna Adelson better get used to the prison life. Because her ass ain't going home. Her ass ain't going home, and I'll tell you right now, if that deal would have happened and she'd have then got time served just to get Wendy, would you have expected anything other from that damn woman? All about Donna. Donna, 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 Donna. Well, Donna's fixing to have the limelight on her. Donna can pull that money out of her ass all she damn well wants. She is going down. Down. She don't like Tallahassee. She wants a change of venue. Judge Everett says, well, we'll just hold off and see if we can pick a jury here in Tallahassee. If that's impossible, we might move it. The bottom line is she's going to know all about prison life in Florida. And it ain't pretty. So, Young Park says prisoners like Lori Daybell think they deserve Club Med treatment. Not. Just Me says this Austin Drummond shouldn't have gotten all the perks that he got. Well, his girlfriend was smuggling all that shit in before her ass was fired. But really, can anyone put it on her Where the hell's the other freaking dang correction officers? Do they not know that the policy is to shake down these cells every so often? It's pathetic, y'all. I am so ashamed of our damn system, prison systems, jail systems here in Tennessee to allow that shit to happen. And if that damn asshole, now that it's gone out in the media, by God, they better never ever let him have, this whole thing about he was part of the Viceroy's or Vice Lord's gang or whatever. Well, I'll tell you what. I hope somebody bends him over. I hope somebody bends him over. Rides him like a freaking damn... I'm not even going to say it. What I am going to say is this. It ain't going to be the same for Austin. Not from here on out. Maybe he missed prison. Because, shoot, look what he was all getting to have in prison. He probably even had status there because he had a video game and vodka and food and all that. And that was his way of keeping people from beating his ass by him giving give him a little status. Wait till his ass is sitting on death row. Let him know. Let him know what it's like. Right, just me. It's not Viceroy, it's Vice Lords. Yeah, pizza delivery. I'll tell you what. OKJ's going to write the Department of Corrections here in Tennessee. I am going to sit. They don't give a shit about what I got to say, but at least they'll know. And you know who else I'm going to write? I'm going to write John Rose and Marsha Blackburn, who are both running for governor. Primary is next year in August. I'm going to write them and say, y'all better damn do your freaking jobs what you are now. John Rose is a state representative. Marsha is in the Senate. She represents Tennessee. John Rose represents Tennessee. They better do something. Show some freaking hair on them balls. Tell them, yeah. Hope Gray says, I've never heard of such things in prison. Such things or search things in prison. Every voice counts, KJ. Yes, that's true. That's true. It's just my voice. It's a bunch of loudness, anger. Oh, okay. Heard of such things in prison. Okay. Well, anyway, I hope all of y'all have a good day. I'm going to try to get with y'all this weekend. And just, leave your comments. Let me know what you think about Accomplice and also Accessory after the fact. Have you looked up in your state, if you're here in the United States, have you looked up what your statute says? Come on now. Education is so good. Sam Willis says, good to see you all. Thanks, mods, and thank y'all all for being here today. I love you. You know I do. To those that have wrote me, don't worry. I promise you, I'm looking at you. You're going to get something in the mail. If you haven't already, some of y'all have. It's just a process. There's a lot to go through. And I got to be, reflective, and I've got to do the right thing. I can't just throw something together and here you go. I want to really think about what it is you're writing me and do something nice for you. So anyway, I love you all. Have a great day. Be looking for me this weekend. If you haven't caught the hearing of Austin Drummond, it's posted on the community wall. Let me know what you think. We'll get geared up for Donna Adelson and keep on